Yeah, we can't really do a presentation as a public company without giving you this disclaimer, which basically says that, okay, we're going to make a lot of statements and forward-looking statements and maybe not promises, but suggestions about how things may turn out as time goes by, and in no way, shape, or form can we be held responsible for those things. So you have to take it on faith. Next. Okay, just to give a brief summary of what we're currently focused on. The Kamuna project, which is in southeastern Cameroon, has been really the focus of the company ever since its founding back in the mid-1990s. And we continue to have that as a major activity that we're trying to advance. We expect to complete a feasibility study later this year, perhaps by the end of the third quarter. We've engaged a financial advisor, Standard Chartered Bank, a very knowledgeable banking group that's been helping us with some of our downstream marketing discussions, together with certain financing discussions that we've had with companies, particularly in the Far East. And we're still targeting commercial production from the cobalt project in the middle part of 2013. As you will hear from Geovic a little bit later, we are in the process of diversifying our portfolio a little bit. We have some new projects that we think have considerable potential that feature other minerals and feature other geography, but they all have very high possibility of success. And hopefully you'll agree with that once we see the rest of the presentation. Our capital structure at the present time, the number of shares outstanding is a little over 100 million. We do have warrants and options that are out. The options, you can see the strike price is about 74 cents. The warrants, the strike price is almost $3 Canadian a share, which is way in excess of what our perception that would happen. So that fully diluted, there's about 140 million shares out. At the end of the first quarter, we had still about $46 million in the bank and no debt. We were fortunate in the early part of 2007 to have several capital raises where we raised almost $100 million. Timing was exquisite in that particular endeavor. Because the thought of trying to do that sort of a capital raise right now at current share price would not be very attractive. As you can see, the share price is about 59 cents a share in US, giving us a market cap on the basic shares outstanding about $60 million, and about a little over almost 45 cents a share in cash per share. So that this share price, let's call it 60 cents a share, is not giving much of a premium really at all for the projects that you're going to be hearing about today. One in Cameroon in particular has a net present value that's of considerable magnitude, and that's virtually not reflected in this current share price. Let's see. I guess I'll go ahead and just review this, and then I'll have Dave Dealing come up and review the project for you. During the last year, we've made considerable progress as far as getting the project in Cameroon underway. We've got a slightly modified metallurgical process that we think is state-of-the-art, and we've essentially completed all the tests, well, almost all the tests that we need to satisfy all of the engineering consultants that the process is a very good one. We've retained financial experts to help us, and we've also retained engineering experts to give comfort to our partners in Cameroon that the processes that we've been working on are indeed sound processes, so that they can be more confident about investing their share of the funds in the project. Some of you may recall, approximately 40% of Geovic Cameroon is owned or controlled by the government of Cameroon. And they 100% $100 million in the project since its inception. Cameroon entities have contributed their $40 million of that total amount. So we're very satisfied with that. That's a story that you won't hear from many companies operating in other places around the world. Over the last 6 or 8 months, or actually over the last year, we've had quite some discussions with very large companies, not so much mining companies, but very large industrial companies in the Far East, particularly in China and Korea, and more recently in Japan. These companies you will know their names. I can't at liberty to discuss them right now, but they are very large companies whose primary interest is in securing a source of cobalt for their long-term applications in batteries particularly, but for other purposes as well. And so that's what's driving their interest as far as potentially investing along with us in the Cameroon project. And so some of those discussions are getting to be quite advanced right now. We hope to be able to have some news out about that before the end of the year. We've advanced other exploration programs that Bill will be talking about in short order. And we've had a program called Geovic, and many of you are familiar with that program. It's basically a socio-humanitarian program that Bill Geovic started along with one of his compatriots some years ago. And his purpose is to try to get as many benefits back to the people who are impacted by our project as we can. And that aid is in the form of, it also will include microloans that would help as far as providing the seed capital for new businesses that could then source materials and goods and services that we can utilize in the mining project to kind of give a leg up as far as setting up a market for these things that can be produced. So that project was very successful over the last year, and Bill will be saying a little bit more about that in due course. Dave, you want to review the
Well, before proceeding on to the project discussion, I must tell you the story of a mining engineer and a geologist and a promoter that were on a bear hunting expedition. And they soon came across some bear tracks. The geologist looked at the tracks and wanted to see the origin of the tracks, so he went back. The mining engineer wanted to see where it was going, and he went forward. And the promoter ran to town to sell a bear skin. Now, this project has run across a lot of tracks. Well, going through what we had said last June when we met here in the Doubletree, we said we were going to update geologic resources, and in fact, we doubled the measured and indicated resources. We drilled over 54,000 meters of drill hole from 2008 through early 2009. With that new information, we also optimized the mine plan, and that mine plan is virtually completed. We've improved and demonstrated a metallurgical process that is specific to this unique ore that is in Cameroon. We finalized that recovery process, and we're in the final couple of weeks of finishing that work at a major metallurgical testing lab in Golden, Colorado. We said we were going to complete the feasibility study on a bankable basis, and we engaged Lycopodium, which is an engineering construction firm out of Perth, Australia, to do that. We engaged them virtually early this year, and then they're in the midst of gathering information and completing that work. We expect that work will be finished here the latter part of this year. We said we were going to advance offtake agreements or sales agreements for our products. I think as most people know, cobalt is a rather small market. It's only about 60,000 tons a year globally. and it's important for us to have enough sales agreements so that financing people can see that we can actually produce this product and actually sell it, get revenues, and pay them back. We've executed several memos of understandings with companies, and these are all